Hey there, friends. Today I wanted to do a review of the Blue Yeti mic. I have been just a anti-Blue Yeti mic, and since so many people have been using it, I wanted to take a moment to really go through it myself, and let's get into it. So quick aside, it is a heat wave here in the Pacific Northwest. I'm in Seattle. This is my attic space. It's uninsulated. There's a 1/4 inch drywall, and it is hot up here. I'm looking at the temperature. It's going up right now. I got 85.5 degrees. I had to turn off the fans just so we can get the audio working. I may pass out in the middle of this review. So let's get back into it. The Blue Yeti mic, it's a condenser mic, I believe, and it has 4 settings in the back. And we'll go through the settings in a little bit. There's a little gain knob, so you can kind of, it's the volume, if you will. It lets you turn it up and down. There's a mute button, and then there's a volume button for your headphones. At the bottom, there is a microphone port where you can mount it to one of these things. It's one of these big threads. I'm not using the technical terms. I don't know what it is, but you may need some sort of adapter to get it to work in one of these boom arms. There's a headphone jack, so you can plug it in to monitor yourself. That's why I have these headphones hanging here. And a USB, and it's one of these USB-B, I think. It's the bigger version, not micro USB, but just a bigger USB to USB-A. And what's annoying is if you're on a Mac like me, you got to adapt it, but that is just the dongle life. So there we go. Let's go through some of the settings in the back, and I'm going to go through just some of the logistics of this mic. It comes with a fairly heavy bass, which is good. It keeps it from rocking. And a lot of people use this just because it's one of those mics where you can just set it, forget it, not worry about the placement, not worry about where you're speaking. It's one of those kind of dummy-proof mics, if you will. The only problem is online, you'll see a lot of people speak into the mic like this, just like I have with the Shure SM7B here. This is not a mic where it's going this way, right? So it's a side placement mic, so all the pickups are going around in a 360-degree circle. So you'll actually want to be speaking into the mic like this. So let's go through some of the settings. Let's see what I got here. There's a stereo mode, and I believe this is popular within the ASMR world. You can get left and right channels in your audio. There's a circle, which is an omnidirection mode, which will kind of capture audio in a 360-degree. So if you're in a conference table and you're speaking to a bunch of people, this will pick up audio regardless of direction. The only downside is it will pick up audio regardless of direction. So that fan that's running over there, it's going to pick it up. That little noise that's being made over there, it's going to pick it up. With this mic, unless you're speaking directly into it, it kind of rejects everything else. That's a technical audio lingo term. There's I believe it's called like a cardioid mode. Essentially, this is now capturing audio in this direction. Just make sure you know which one is the face. The face is the one with the logo. So in this orientation, I will be speaking into the mic. It's going to capture just what's coming in this direction, and it'll just ignore everything else. And lastly, the final setting is a kind of like a podcast interview setting where it's going to pick up me right here in this direction and another person in this direction. So just this plane and this plane, but it ignores everything on both sides here. This is useful again, like if I'm sitting in front of someone and we're having a conversation, we want to be able to pick it up. And that's why people like this mic, is because if you got a mic like this and I'm talking to someone else, either we take turns talking to the mic, or you have to go out and get another one of these, a $400 mic, and talk and have your guests over here. So again, we're talking about $800 of mics in this case versus $130 Blue Yeti mic. There is a reason why it's so popular. For the price, I think it has a really good value for the price. It does a pretty good job. So let's switch into the in-depth test. And I'm going to switch this into my audio program. I'm using Logic Pro 10 on my Mac connected to USB, and so we'll get an audio there. So, and I'm back. So I'm recording this right now. I can adjust the volume here so I can hear myself a little bit better, and I'm going to adjust the gain. So this is the Blue Yeti mic. I have it set up under the cardioid approach, so I'll just put a little image of what that icon looks like. What that does is it's going to record just basically right here in front of me. You'll notice that if I'm speaking to the side right here, it's going to get just my voice here. It's going to reject most other voice. The reason that you want to reject sound is because you want to pick just the source. In this case, this is me. So anything I'm doing back here, any click clacks and everything, it's not going to pick it up as well. It's going to pick my voice up really well in this case. So remember, with the Blue Yeti, I'm going to be careful when I pick this up so it's not annoying, this is a side speaking mic. And in the manual, they'll tell you to speak in the side. Yet on YouTube, I see a lot of people speak like this. And this works, except now you're getting just an awful sound. This is why this mic sucks if people are not using it correctly. And so remember, you got to speak like this. Now with mics, typically what you can do is you'll turn up the gain. Essentially, let's call that the volume. That's how loud something can get. The gain will let you be further away, but the trade-off is the further away, the more hollow the sound's going to be, and it's going to start picking up abnormal sounds that you don't want. And so if I get really close here, they call it the proximity effect. This is actually getting really close, and it creates kind of this booming effect. Now in this case, I'm probably becoming a little too loud. So let me get to just a more reasonable speech pattern, and you can hear that little plosive right there. Very annoying. Okay, I'm going to put this back on the table very gently. Now, the problem with this mic is it's a condenser mic, so it's going to pick up things really, very subtle sounds. So even I got my hands on the table, I'm moving stuff all around. It's going to pick all up that noise. If your space isn't treated, like this case, I have some foam around in my space here, but it's not perfectly treated. It's going to pick up that echo, and that can be very annoying. So that's one of the downsides of the Blue Yeti mic. So let's switch to a different mode. I'm going to switch to the stereo. Okay, so now with stereo, what's going to happen is it's going to record left and right. So notice here that when I speak on this side, you're going to hear sound on one side, and now you hear sound on the other side. So this is going to be that very ASMR type effect, right? And anything in the center is going to get both ears, and anything on the right ear will get the other ear. So again, this is why a lot of people actually use this as an ASMR mic, because it has that ability to do that. So let's switch to the omnidirection. Okay, so the omnidirection, it's going to come in a little, it doesn't sound as good because now it's kind of picking up this 360-degree sphere. And the reason you would use this is if you have a bunch of people around the mic, or you just don't have a direction, right? You don't have anything specific. You want to pick up the entire ambiance of the space. This is kind of the reason for that. And finally, the last one. Let's do a double check on what it's called. This is, look at the manual, see what they call it. And this is a okay, this is called the bidirectional. So this is good for a two-person setup. So what I would do is rather than angling it for me specifically, I would put it center of table, right here. Tighten it down. Okay. All right, so if I'm sitting here and I have a guest that's going to be speaking on this side, so I'm going to pick it up so you can see that when I'm speaking to the other side, at the side here, you're not going to get anything. And in the back, you're going to get the other direction. Now, the reason you want this type of configuration is you have a two-person interview, one mic. So rather than miking up two individuals, you're going to use this to have a podcast conversation. Remember, if we're practicing social distance, 6 feet apart. Otherwise, this mic isn't going to work for that case. But COVID aside, this is just a good for two-direction speaking right here. So let's go back to a couple more use cases. I'm doing a live stream. I'm doing a video just like this. the right setting for me would be that cardioid pattern. And that is such a weird word, but so let's say I'm going to be doing most of my work on this screen here. I got my camera right there. I'm speaking, my voice is going in this direction here. What I'm going to do is ideally I want this right in front of me where my voice is speaking, but I kind of want my face in frame, so I'm going to move this just slightly this way, right? So I'm going to get my mic just right there, and I'm going to adjust this at the right angle so that this, now I can see, I can speak into it. So this is the optimal position. Now, then I'm going to turn my body, keep my head straight, and now I am back working on the computer. I'm doing whatever I'm doing. This mic is going to be going in this direction here. And as long as I stay in that plane, it's going to be perfect. Now, I'm speaking, I get excited, I lean back and I go like this. Now, it's not going to be the optimal position and the audio gets not as perfect as it optimally would be. So I have to be conscious of where this plane of action is going to be. So that's why some of these settings will work. If you intend on moving around in your video quite a bit, you want to adjust to the omnidirection, right? Because if you're moving around a lot, you're going to sacrifice the perfect sound, but it gives you the ability to not lose it, especially if you go over here. So that's just part of the other. Just why would you want to use the stereo? I think if you want to kind of create an ASMR type option, you know, where you're picking up just the movement around, and it's almost as if you want this mic to represent a person. In this case, this mic is simulating my more expensive Shure SM7B. And so this mic, I would have been I would be speaking into this, or in just this case, I'm speaking into this mic right here. Now, this is a mic where I would be doing some podcasting work, and I'm speaking into you and I'm getting myself really close so that I can get that radio sounding voice. This is another episode of Daniel Tries Mics. And that's the general gist. So today, remember, for this kind of version, I am recording into Logic Pro 10. I'm probably going to do minimal edits or zero edits other than adjusting the levels a little bit so you can get a sense on how this mic works. I think first impression, I know why this mic is a #1 mic because it's so versatile. Unlike some of these other mics, it requires other equipment. It requires a lot of things. This is just USB. It plugs directly into your computer, does the recording. It's going to be great for Zoom meetings or anywhere where you need an external mic. The only downside of this right here, I think, is, you know, it's a jack of all trades mic. It's not perfect. It's not going to have the nice sound that a dedicated dynamic mic would have or any other multi-use purpose mics. But if you're not an audio engineer, you're not interested in kind of mastering the craft of audio, I think, again, there is a reason why this Blue Yeti mic works, because it is cheap. I got it for $110 on Amazon on a special deal. It's normally about $130. I'm going to leave a link in the description below for you to check it out. I fully support getting this mic. I know I've been poo-pooing on it for most of my recommendations, but I think one benefit is it is super easy to use, and it is almost dummy proof, other than always be speaking to the side. And remember, if you read the instructions, looks like in the manual here, there's an image right here where they'll actually show you what to do. So there we go.